So finally, after so many chapters of hearing bosses be all like, oh man, that Sable order is pretty tough, you're gonna be sorry when you meet him, and oh man, General Chemist is totally gonna kick your butt when he finds you, we're finally going to get around to fighting the Sable order. We're still not fighting Camus though, so only half of that is finally coming true. Like seriously, half the bosses on our way to Altia threatened, oh man, that Sable order, they're gonna get all up in your grill right now. Totally. And then it just didn't happen. But now it is, kinda. We're still not meeting Camus. I mean, we've met him, but that one time where he gave us thing didn't count. Right, so, fairly sparse amount of enemies at first. That being said, they are actually aggressive, unlike some other enemies. So we got a whole lot of cavaliers and horsemen that are just going to be charging us from the get-go, and of course at some point there are going to be reinforcements as well. Got a few things over here, some shops and some armories. And that guy's got an armor slayer, which isn't really a threat because I don't have armored units. Ah well, he tried. Wow, you got some pretty good eyesight for your age. Hold on a sec. Let me get my binoculars. Alright, it's some guy called Stern-lin? I can't quite see the preparation screen from here. Julian, get over here. You got good eyesight, right? Read me the boss's name. Yeah, no kidding Dolar's not happy with him. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you, Nina? Acting out of orders, you know, maybe, perhaps he was... this is just theoretically speaking, but he is acting out of orders by, like, escorting somebody out of the country who Dolar wanted dead. You know, something like that. I don't know why you'd know, I'm just throwing the question out there. I mean, you might. Don't know why you would, but if you know an answer, then please tell me. Well, that's not going to be much of a surprise when it actually happens, is it? Alright, so, starting off, ballisticians are decent, can get some decent damage provided they actually hit. You know, Beck isn't really doing as much as he did in my first playthrough of this game. Because I remember him just absolutely decimating everything and being incredibly broken. I mean, ballisticians are pretty broken as is, you know, even though Beck's not turning out as well. He's still doing decently enough and being able to fight enemies from like halfway across the map, pretty good. Of course, since there are so many cavaliers, you are going to want a pretty strong defense as well. It's not like just having the ballisticians going to help you completely. But it's a bridge, so it's a fairly easy point to defend. Just place your strongest defense units first and have some guys for ranged attacks behind them. You know, maybe one space behind them if you're worried about them getting attacked too much, but personally I wouldn't. I'd put them directly behind the units, so if they do take a bit of damage, I don't think they'll take too much. I mean, especially if they don't actually kill the enemies. Alright, so those guys are going first. I think the guys on the right are going to be going as well. I don't think it's just the guys in the center, right? Well, those guys as well. Bottom right. Oh, not middle right. Okay, well, that makes things infinitely easier, I guess. Alright, well, who wants to attack first? You? You? Come on, attack one of my ranged units with your ranged attacks. Good job there, Beck. You sure are contributing a whole lot to society. Oh, man. I swear ballisticians are good and broken. It's just, that's not happening right now. And no, I'm not using Jake because I still think Jake's an asshole. Alright? I don't like the guy. That being said, wow, got a crit there. Oh hey, here's the page where you fucking die. Say hello to Satan for me, motherfucker. Linde probably wouldn't actually say those things. Right, so this is pretty much going to be easy to take care of, especially if they don't actually hit me with their ranged attacks. They are pretty fast, though. I'll give them that. That being said, yep, 2 spaces wide. Honestly, I probably shouldn't be doing so much damage, just because, well, not even that many people can't even come up to Ogma. Like, I was worried that I'd take damage and then kill him too early and then take way too much damage from other units, but honestly, I don't have much of a worry about that. I am more worried about those hunters. Just really, Minerva? Alright, at least he got him on the second try. But yeah, I'm worried about those horsemen, rather, not hunters. I'm worried about them hitting me, but I think I'll be fine. Just keep a good distance until I'm ready for them to fight me, because apparently they don't want to attack, which would be a good idea, to be fair. I think that would make this chapter a lot more interesting if they actually charged you, like, all of them. Because that would be quite the threat. You'd have to defend from a lot of guys just because they're staggered pretty well, so you'd have to fight them one after the other. It would actually be pretty damn tough. Maybe it does that in hard mode. I'm not too familiar with hard mode. I usually don't do those. Because personally, I kind of prefer the normal modes in general. I mean, maybe it's just me, but everyone's like, oh man, you sure aren't gonna get through Fire Emblem Awakening's insane difficulty or whatever it's called. Oh man, it's just, you're gonna have to do everything with Frederick for a while, because otherwise they're just gonna tear you apart. And it's like, that doesn't really sound that fun. Plus, Awakening also has that thing where reinforcements attack immediately after they come in on hard mode. I wish they'd let you turn that off like they let you turn off auto-death, or auto-death? You die automatically and for no reason if you turn this option on. It's great. But if you turn off permadeath, you can do that, but you can't turn off reinforcements. I might actually play more hard modes if they let you turn that off separately, but instead of it being a separate option, it is tied into the harder modes, which is why I don't want to play them. It's the main reason. I just really don't like that. Like, when reinforcements arrive, it's already enough to deal with as is, but, you know, when they don't move immediately, you can kind of manage them. If they come out of nowhere and then attack immediately, it just feels unfair. Like, oh, yeah, I couldn't really deal with that. I mean, if you actually know the game, you know when reinforcements appear, more or less, so I guess it wouldn't be the biggest issue, but at the same time, I just don't think it's very good design. It used to be the default no matter what difficulty you were on in Fire Emblem 6, and before that, 7 was the one to change that, so that you wouldn't just immediately get slaughtered by whatever happened to wander in, and I just prefer it that way. Now, I've not mentioned it so far, at least I don't think I have, despite the fact that we've encountered a fair few of these chapters, and I'm being incredibly obtuse about the fact that there are actually some chapters that were cut in the first remake of this game. Have I ever? Yeah, I've mentioned that this game was remade twice. This is the second remake, Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon. There was actually one more remake, though, and it was the SNES one. It was actually bundled with Mystery of the Emblem, so the third game in the series was actually partially the first one, just remade, but they did cut out some chapters and characters. Like, I don't think Board is actually in that version of the game, so obviously it's inferior to all other versions. I know for a fact, though, that they cut out Rise, the old man healer from the beginning of the game that you get in the first chapter, so you actually have to wait until you get Lena in order to have a healer, which she's only in Chapter 3, so it's not a huge deal, but nonetheless. Now, the main reason some chapters were cut is just the fact that, well, some of them just aren't interesting. You know, other than the obvious, oh yeah, by the way, she's friendly. Other than the obvious, they needed as much cartridge space for the game people were actually playing for, you know, the new one that is honestly far better. Yeah, other than that, it's just because some of them are dull, and I can't necessarily disagree with some of the chapters they cut. I wish instead they were to make them more interesting. Yeah, that's Est over there. Instead of just outright getting rid of them. But I guess it's not the worst solution. Make it shorter so you don't have to get through as much. It's usually more of like the plain chapters, like one of the Orless ones I think was cut out. The one before you get Hardened, I think it was. I don't know them off the top of my head, and that did not work at all. But yeah, there were definitely a few chapters that were cut out of the SNES version of this game. So that over there is Est. I mentioned earlier the strategy of surrounding Marth with other units if you want to go to the Gaiden chapters without needlessly murdering everyone. So yeah, if you don't want to recruit Est, then just make sure there's a unit around Marth at all times, and she'll try to fly close to you, but she won't be able to do a thing. Right, so I believe soon there should be reinforcements from the southwest. At least I'm pretty sure it's whenever you cross the bridge. And yeah, this is the main reason I brought Aaron along. I mean, he's an okay unit, but since I have an empty space for party members, and I've got no one else to go to those stores, and I don't want to waste my time doing that, I'm just going to send a unit I don't really care about there. So yeah, sorry Aaron, but you have to be a pack mule, and that feels really weird to say. Hey self, except spelled weird. You get to be a pack mule now, good for you. Not only is Est a pretty good character normally, but she's also pretty damn cool. So, yeah, remember how she didn't actually join the other White Wings? Well, that's because she had heard that Grust had stolen one of the 3 regalia, so she just casually went over, stole it from them, and is now flying to our aid. Yes, just kinda casually does that. The game doesn't make a big deal about it, even though it's pretty big. So yeah, Mercurius, it's a pretty good sword, you should use it. Yep, there we go, I knew it, reinforcements now. Future me, go on, do your thing. Now, S tier is only a level 3 Pegasus Knight, which is very, very low for this point of the game. We don't have many chapters left, but if you do want another Pegasus Knight, Est is very good. Her growth rates are all pretty fantastic with the exception of defense and resistance, but hey, she has some resistance growth rate, so maybe you'll get 1 point by the end of the game. Other than that though, Est is a very solid unit if you don't mind putting some work into it, and when I say putting some work into it, I mean hightailing it through the game to make sure she gets some sort of experience, otherwise she's gonna stay pretty weak if you don't use her too much for these last few chapters. Alright, so now that killjoy's gone, let's get back to the real party, right, guys? Alright, but yeah, anyway. I won't really be using Est for the same reasons I'm not using the rest of the Pegasus trio, but if you do want to use her, you're not gonna be going wrong with her. I mean, if you'll remember all the way back when I did the BS chapters, Est was kind of a weak character, but at the same time, she did amazing. Like, in earlier playthroughs of that chapter, you know, before I started recording them, Est was not really my favorite character because she got killed a lot, but for that particular run, she did amazing and just kind of, I wouldn't say swept the enemies. I mean, if I remember correctly, it was kind of a group effort, you know, but nonetheless, Est still stood out and kicked all ass, so you know, Est is pretty good in my book. It was so cool, I was almost killed, and I was terrified. So yeah, I like Est. She's pretty eager to just go out and do better than she did before. Yeah, too bad though, she is forever going to sit on the bench. Then, you know, I think the assumption would be that all your units do something when they're not in use in the main chapters. They're probably just like the rear guard or something, making sure this battlefield doesn't get, you know, reinforcements that aren't in castles, or just doing something. You know, it's kind of like how you have to make the assumption that there are soldiers that aren't our main units fighting alongside us. I mean, we keep these guys in blue armor around for some reason, right? They're not just here to be like, oh, Prince Marth, something's happened, oh no! They've got to be useful for something, right? Are they getting paid to sit around? No, they're not getting paid to sit around, right? Right? Somebody go check that. We really should make sure these guys aren't just lazing about for nothing. But anyway, Fates, though, is actually going to change that, because whenever it zooms in on the battlefield, apparently there's, like, little sprites or models or something of, like, other soldiers. So, you can kind of see other people doing their thing if that's what happens to be happening. And it seems like certain chapters won't do that, like what they showed off at the Nintendo Direct last E3, I think it was, where like they were in a swamp chapter or something like that, and there were no other units outside of, your own, no generic soldiers there to make it look like a big battle, because it wasn't a big battle. You were fighting monsters in a swamp, as you do. And I do kind of like that detail. I'm glad they're doing that. And just the zoom-in thing in general actually looked pretty cool from what I remember. As I've said before, I have tried to stay away from Fire Emblem Fates spoilers, and technically speaking, I haven't been spoiled on any sort of major plot points or anything. I have been spoiled on other things, i.e., Nintendo probably shouldn't have even tried with the whole gay relations thing. I mean, sometimes, someone just makes so little of an effort that it would have been less bad if they had just kept away from it. I mean, that is kind of the problem with the whole S-rank thing. I like S-rank, but the thing is, it also kind of doesn't let you use your imagination. Like, I mean, Fire Emblem 7. Technically speaking, nothing ever says that Lyn and Florin are a couple. But they definitely are. It's 100% canon, and you cannot tell me otherwise. So while it didn't explicitly say it, it didn't have to. You could just draw your own conclusions, but now it's like, oh yeah, they're definitely married now. And no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If they don't get married, then they die cold and alone. Which is normally a problem. Not for a few units. Like, Severa, I'm fine with not actually having anyone S-rank with Severa. I don't like Severa. Severa and Jerome are both characters who just kind of like to destroy fun, except at least if you talk to Jerome, it's your own damn fault. Severa's like a fun-seeking, not really missile, but person. She just destroys fun wherever it is. She doesn't care. She'll find it and destroy it. Plus, everyone is always like, oh, Lucina and Severa is such a good pairing, and I'm like, god damn it, no, Kajel Lucina, it totally works. Damn it, my ship's better than yours. I will prove it with science. Don't actually tell anybody I don't know how to science. It's my one secret shame. Alright, so we're actually pretty much at the end of the chapter. It's pretty much just going to be cleanup at this point. And by cleanup, I mean there are going to be a lot more reinforcements, so I have to keep a whole lot of units on this side. But it's not like I need that many units to take on the boss. It's kind of a small party on that side. But those guys are in a terrible position because some of my units are too far and others are way too close. I don't really care for where they spawned. Damn it. Alright, well, thank goodness for trading, so I can at least have Kane have a javelin so he can fight back against that hunter. I keep calling them hunters, they're horsemen. Alright, well, you are almost done shopping, so guess I'll just get another rapier and a rider's bane, and that's it. Man, if only I had gone to the Gaiden chapter and gotten all that money. Wow, good job, Kane. Why didn't I kill people for monetary gain? That was just a bad idea on my end. Though that being said, it would be damn near impossible for me to get to any of the Gaiden chapters at this point. And just due to the fact that I have so many units that it's hard to kill enough of them, like on a short basis, or on a short-term... not short-term basis, what's the word I'm looking for? Short notice, that's it. But yeah, it'd be hard to kill that many units on short notice, because I have so many of them at this point. And we only need to defeat one more dude on this side, until more show up. Because you know more are going to show up. I probably should have given that kill to Est, but since I'm not actually going to be using her, I guess it's not a huge matter of importance. I don't know, I really should give her some experience. You know, a lot of people when playing Fire Emblem will just out and out not use the characters they're not going to use permanently, and I used to do that, you know. A new character comes in, you know you're not going to use them, you just unequip them and give their equipment to someone else, but I don't like doing that. Even if I know the character is, for some reason, going to leave the party and never come back, I don't like doing the whole unequipping thing. Like in Final Fantasy IV, people will unequip characters before they leave the party, but I've never liked doing that, to be honest. I will leave them with their equipment on, because it just feels wrong to do otherwise. Not even in, oh, I'm just pretending to be surprised or something. It just, I don't know, feels disrespectful. I don't know. I don't like doing it for some reason. I mean, part of me wants to do one of those runs where you just get a stupid amount of equipment that you don't even need. Like, oh man, I need every piece of equipment, one of everything. I kind of get that from time to time, but then I'm like, actually no, there's no reason for that. And, to be honest, selling things is far more important. So unless it's like Final Fantasy V, where, you know, those weapons might come in useful if you happen to change classes, and you realize, oh, I haven't really bought anything for them, but I have this leftover older equipment. There it's useful, but otherwise I don't like doing that sort of thing. I don't know why. You'd think I would, because, you know, I'm kind of pedantic about some things, but no, I generally try to keep everyone equipped as they are, don't unequip anything. Unless I really have to. Unless I dislike them. Like, if I don't like the character, I'll just remove their lance or whatever they have. So basically, Mathis. I'm surprised I didn't actually get rid of his spear or whatever he had. Iron Lance, probably. Does anybody even remember Mathis? Like, it just occurred to me that, it's been a while since we've actually recruited him, and he hasn't mattered at all, but remember that guy? He was an idiot, and he can attack Lena, even though he's looking for Lena, and Lena has to recruit him. Remember Lena's idiot brother Mathis? I don't. And quite frankly, now that I have remembered him, I'm a lot worse off. Suddenly, I feel suffering where I didn't before. It's just weird, but he's taken away from my life. Remove value from it. Okay, caster? 90%. 90% hits. That's very good. You're not supposed to miss at 90. That's not a thing that happens, alright? So, let's not let that happen again, because now I've oh, really? Of course you crit now. Of course you find the page where that paladin just explodes after you shoot a bolt of electricity through him, of course. Alright, well, I guess I will, Killer Lance ya? Get a crit, get a crit, get a crit. Ah, god damn it. I mean, in fairness, I doubt I was really that confident about that actually happening, but it would have been nice. Would have been good for that to happen. And speaking of happening, you are done. Right, so that takes care of that. And I have just enough units to defeat this guy. Oh, you mean Hardin won't actually be able to kill him? Oh, yeah, that's going to be so problematic. It's not like I have a bishop over there who is just on standby for killing the hell out of you with fire magic. You know, it's just too bad that's not a thing that's going to happen. Oh wait, it is. I mean, to be fair, I probably could stand next to him and use this. I don't have to keep my distance. He'd be dead no matter what. Right, I forget. Is there one last set of reinforcements before we're done here? There might be. And this probably isn't going to work. Ooh, nope, 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 nope. Oh, Est, you're great, but you're not great enough yet to take on this guy. He has 2 very good chances to kill you in 1 hit, so forgive me if I don't have much confidence to kill him with Est. And 1, and he's not doing anything. Kane is so very close to leveling, as is Seda. Yeah, I guess this will have to be good enough. Unless, how much damage do you do? Actually, yeah, 49%. Nope, not happening. That's a double no at that point. Let's see. Well, I could kill him. Oh, wait, less than a 50% chance. Never mind, never mind, never mind. Retreat. Alright, who wants to kill him? Ogma, you're looking a little behind on levels, and fairly weak as well. But hopefully this helps. And we're done here. Yep, I'm not gonna at all. Oh, sorry, that's Forgot to pronounce the H. My bad. Alright, send that Master Seal to the convoy. We'll need it later. And before anyone else shows up, let's finish up the chapter. The real Fire Emblem Souls begins here. Nope. Can you really be certain about anything in life, Prince Marth? I'll take my chances. Well, probably from the guys standing outside watching in horror as their friends are burnt to a crisp, but you might have a point there, Marth. Well, I mean, what if there's good treasure in there, Marth? Would you tear it apart then?